Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of the Morning Paranormal Coffee Talk. I'm Nighthawk, one half of your gang here as hosts. I got the other half of the gang, Eric, and backstage, waiting patiently. And we're going to get into the disclaimer, and I'm going to say hello to everybody after that, and then we're going to talk about some of the topics we've got coming up today. All right, so the copyright disclaimer is this channel may use some copyrighted material without specific authorization of the owner, but contends that it falls under the fair use, which is the Copyright Act of 1976. Nighthawk High Strangeness podcast channel and all the podcasts on the channel declare fair use of any and all content to be used for the purposes such as criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, research, parody, and entertainment value under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, otherwise known as the fair use. All right, that being said, I'm going to take that down. All right. And let's see here.
Thank you, bro.
Oh, man. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott. That means a lot, bro. That means a lot.
Dude, you.
Oh, man.
You are badass.
That's a heck of a way to.
I'm sorry.
A heck of a way to start it.
Yeah. I apologize, everybody. I'm bouncing back and forth between several different things at one time, but I am somewhat coherent. Okay, it looks like I'm able to do that. Perfect. So I'm working on your deal, bro.
Okay.
Okay.
We've got Rhonda and Roxanne in the house and Scott in the house. We've got, who else in the house? We've got Candy, Urso, Boondock Mojo, otherwise known as Corey. Good to see you.
Cool.
All right. Who else we got? David's in the house. That bizarre guy's in the house. All right. Let's see. I know Melissa's in here too somewhere. Kyle, good to see you. Man, everybody's gotten in here early. Wow. All right. Anyways, let me go to the new comments here. I said new comments, not nude comments. Melissa, good to see you. Uh, and Scott, thank you very much for that. That means a lot, brother. That means a lot. Um, I know last night we kind of ended the conversation on the number seven, and oddly enough, I already talked to Eric backstage about this. I was feeling lousy last night after the podcast. I was all
Okay.
jittery and couldn't sleep. And finally, about 2 a.m., I fell asleep. I woke up at 3:33 a.m. I couldn't go back to sleep. Something was nagging at me. Vaughn, good to see you. Um, so something told me to look up more information on the number seven. Okay, and first name, good to see you. So I looked up more information on the number seven because we got into that whole subject of how it's almost like the numbers have been reversed. Like the number seven is a representation of Lucifer and all that, and then the number 13 is actually a good number. And it's because it's basically the 12 apostles plus Jesus is 13. That kind of stuff. And we just got into it, and then I started looking into this. The triple seven numbers and got through their angelic number meaning. And last night I was thinking, there's got to be more to the number seven because everything in creation, it's not random. Okay. Everything within creation has a set foundation. It's like building a brick house brick by brick. You have to start with a firm soil and then a layer of something solid, whether it's concrete or stone, whatever. And then you lay your bricks down, okay, and your blocks. Well, each block is put together with mortar. I consider our DNA the mortar to our blocks, okay? But on a spiritual level, I believe that the number seven has a lot to do with that too. Okay, because we all know that through all the research that everybody's done and investigating with the Anunnaki and all this, there is a nasty rumor that our DNA was messed with by the aliens. Oh, thank
You
you.
just hit us out,
Awesome.
bro.
Awesome. For the second time, until they take it away from me.
Mine will be,
Until they
man. I'll
take it
lose
away.
about two. I'll lose about
Yeah,
two or three, and then bring me back like a day or two later.
yeah, yeah. It's ridiculous. I had to fight to get those six back on that they took off. But apparently if you don't acknowledge the channel as much as you should, they tend to take them off. So, anyways, I researched it some more last night, and needless to say, I didn't get any sleep after waking up at 3:33 a.m. Tossed and turned, for the rest of the morning until now. Um, and I found out some interesting stuff too. And I just, I want to pop some things up here on the screen because we did kind of leave it at a standstill last night. And I started thinking, well, there's the chakras. There's seven chakras in the human body. Why seven? Why not 10? Why not nine? Why not 13? Why seven? Okay. So I started researching it, and then I found this certain hand signals and stuff for each chakra. Okay. Now, a lot of those hand symbols look awful familiar, and we tend to see quite a bit of it in media. Let's just say social media mostly. And I'll leave it at that. I don't want to disclose what some of them are, but I'm sure you all can figure it out if you screenshot the picture. You'd be able to tell what those hand signals are and how they represent each chakra. Okay, So we have that into play. And then on top of it all, I said, well, if the human body, if the human body is made up in a numerical or numerology type of a thing spiritually, like the number seven, what about the body itself? So I brought up and I asked Google the question last night, AI, and got this for a response. I asked, what are the seven major organs for human life? And wouldn't you know, there is exactly seven. Exactly seven. The brain, the heart, the lungs, the liver, the kidneys, the stomach, and the intestines. Seven. I thought that
Hmm.
was pretty amazing. You know, I would have thought there'd be more than that, but apparently that's all that a human needs to live. Okay. So I guess we don't need a spleen. We don't need, anything else, that goes for that. It's amazing that how frequent the number seven comes up. Okay. When it's our makeup too. And I just thought that was interesting. And I wanted to point that out to everybody today before we got into our subject matter, which is basically glitches in the matrix is our subject matter. And I found that very, very fascinating. That's all. I just wanted to show everybody this morning that, what I found. And I just thought it was fascinating how much that number seven keeps coming up, like we
Yeah.
disclosed last night. Then I started researching glitches. A lot of unusual glitches.
Hmm.
A lot of glitches seem almost like it's a sustained supernatural event. And what I mean by sustained is I mean like timestamp frozen. Okay. You see it a lot. There was a point in that recent helicopter accident. Okay. And I have a picture of that. In that recent helicopter accident, there was a point in the video where the tail of the helicopter didn't move. It fell off, but it didn't fall. It literally hovered there for several seconds and then dropped. And as you can see in this picture, it takes a lot. I mean, I've jumped out of good ones and rappelled out of good ones, and I know how strong those helicopters in the military were built. Okay, and so does Eric and David and Melissa probably
Hmm.
know too. So, and anybody else that's been in the military. Why? What type of neglect would there have to be for a helicopter to break its tail? Thank you, girl with the gong, and
Yeah.
thank you so much. Thank you for all your help too. Girl with the gong is one of the people that really helped me with my medical situation, and we've been talking about that. So I really appreciate you, Maureen. You're class act all the way. Always be my sister, always. And anyways, I just thought that was unusual with the glitching and stuff that we were talking about today. And then I find things like there was a photograph. I actually blew this up. Okay, I made it bigger than what it was, so you're going to see some imperfections. Because I'm not a professional, nor do I play one on TV. But this picture shows a young lady, a young child, and just look at what the picture when the camera froze on her as a subject, and literally the picture was taken without the photographer's knowledge. In other words, the camera focused on her specifically as the subject and took its own picture. Okay. And this isn't an AI camera. This is just your run of the mill camera, 35 mil. Okay. Digital, like an EOS Rebel, that kind of a camera, Canon. But this picture speaks volumes. And like I said, I blew it up because it was farther away, and I wanted to get more of a close up of the young girl's face. Check this out, what the camera caught. I thought that was just absolutely creepy. Okay. There is literally something alien-esque about her, and I that might even be a new word. I think I just made up alien-esque, but there's something about this child that makes me think of the gray alien.
Mhm.
It really does. And considering it was taken from a glitch in whatever equipment the guy was using at the time, it kind of makes me wonder, do the aliens have something to do with all these matrix glitches that are going on? Are they the ones
Mhm.
causing it? Are they the ones that are making these objects seemingly just stop in mid-flight or mid-traffic, or mid-fall? You know, it really makes you wonder. But then you start thinking of how glitches are normally portrayed, and this one here is kind of freaky. And this could have been just a prankster on a train and a subway, that is literally faking like they're doing something with their hands, and they're actually not. But I thought this was fascinating, and this picture has gone around too because I've seen it for a while now. Thank you, first name. But this picture speaks volumes.
Mhm.
Now, it's like I said, it's hard to say and confirm that this is actually a glitch that she's doing, or if she's just role playing, faking something. What do you think, Eric?
That is definitely weird. Uh, Bounty, that is a possibility. That can happen. Usually, when that happens, it's roughly 2 to 3 seconds before it starts falling.
Yes, but also with that, Eric, also
Hmm.
when a tail section falls off a copter with it still spinning, it's going to spin the opposite direction of the resistance from the wind. So that tail feather section should have been rotating in a clockwise or a counterclockwise, manner,
Hmm.
but it stayed perfectly still. It didn't move, which was
Yeah,
unusual.
and as far as this picture here, is this a glitch in the matrix? Possibly. I mean, that is very well a possibility. Is it a chick with mental issues? Also a possibility. Is it photoshopped where they took out the hand mirror? Also possible. It's hard to say on something like this, but this is actually not uncommon. Okay, hold on. I'm sorry, guys.
That's all right. Yeah, this is definitely not that uncommon as far as, the glitch stories go, and what we've seen witnessed. I know there was one photograph going around of somebody that glitched in place while pushing a shopping cart, along the side of a
Mm-hmm.
street. Um, there was one of a bicyclist that was glitched and completely still, and the person and the bike didn't fall over from not moving, which is unusual. And there was another glitch of a woman that just got out of her car and was getting ready to walk into a business, standing behind the back end of her SUV, and she completely glitched out, frozen in place mid stride. And, it's just, you have to wonder, why are all these glitches happening? And that's that's why I'm curious today. I want to know what everybody else thinks about this because glitches in the matrix are a fascinating subject. They really are. And as often as they're being reported, you know, something's got to give. So anybody in the chat has any idea, you know, please let us know because this is really something.
Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to get caught up on the comments here.
Oh, that's fine. That's
Um,
fine. I got to take a break. I got to breathe a little bit.
yeah, I mean, there's so much weird stuff going out there, and with all these strange drugs that people are doing nowadays, I mean, it's hard to narrow things down like this anymore because there's just too many factors out there to play into this stuff. But with everything that's happening, there is so many things happening right now that falls in line with the glitch in the matrix that this is not that. You animals. Guys, enough. I'm sorry, guys. They are not behaving. Uh, but it's not that far fetched to see it. I mean, we've all seen the paused cats, the paused birds, the paused planes. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on with stuff that you see on this stuff. Um, there seems to be something to it, you know.
Yeah,
Hey, Mr. L.
definitely something to it. There's definitely something to it. I got to
You
find
know,
that one comment that you just had up there um,
oh,
about the seven
hey,
continents and
Michelle.
all that. That's one that we brought up last night, I believe.
That one.
Yeah, the seven planets and the
Yeah.
seven continents. Yeah, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
Um, oh, did we lose you? There you are. Okay. Um, yeah, yeah, the girl. I mean, these guys are just it's all day long anymore. It's getting aggravating.
yeah,
Yeah, Vaughn, we talked a little bit about that last night. 777 equals 21 equals 3. Yeah, back to the Trinity. She's in the
yeah,
Matrix. I mean, that is a good possibility. I'm not a 100% subscriber that what we call the Matrix nowadays is like the movie. I'm not. There's too many variables for me to consider that as a prime possibility, but it is definitely a possibility that I cannot ignore. I can't factor that
exactly.
out as being a possibility. For me, it's like I said last night. I believe it's the matrix in the system, but in a different way. Now, could this be the unveiling of the veil, as we like to call it, which is causing stuff like this? Is this part of the Mandela effect from when CERN fired up, and that's why we're seeing these pauses in time? Because two different dimensions have collided together, and we're actually seeing a pause in between these two dimensions, which is, oh my gosh, you animals.
One animal saying to the other animal, "Stop touching me," and the other animal saying, "I'm not touching you."
My gosh, first it's
Oh,
the dogs fighting and they're playing nonstop, and now it's the cats doing it. She's still in here? No, they're out there. Get out. I'm getting this. They're aggravating and disrupting everything. Um, but could this be the cross dimensions, and this is why we're dealing with this stuff? That is also a very good possibility of why we're seeing this matrix stuff. And the reason
yeah,
why I like to refer to the matrix like a lot of people is because it's very similar to how the movie was. I'm a firm believer that movie was a soft disclosure.
yeah.
I'm a
I
real
agree with
big fan
that.
of the
Yeah, I agree with that
you know
100%. That and in fact, I will go even further with that. I would say that most movies coming out of Hollywood is self-disclosure. And I think
yes
we know
I'm
why that they have to disclose it because otherwise the spells that they're casting aren't going to work. They're not going to keep the
yes
wool over humanity's eyes, you know?
yes Yes, 100. I mean, look how many times we have sat there and uncovered this evil stuff and have proven. We've shown videos of them saying it in a manner that you would not, if you're not actually paying attention to their words, which a lot of people don't. They listen to the words, they do not pay attention to these words. They have to tell you what they're doing. Galactic law, whatever it is you want to consider it, because of the spells, whatever it is, no matter how it is you think that they have to disclose it, they have to disclose it. So we see it in Holly Screws. We've covered this multiple times. You want to know the next weird thing is fixing to come out? Watch TVs. Watch the TV shows, watch the movies, watch the commercials. Those are soft disclosures of what's going to happen next. Look how a couple years ago we had all that zombie craze going on. Correct? Now,
Yep.
what are they coming out with? They can actually make zombies. They've been cloning dinosaurs and all this other stuff in the movies, Jurassic Parks. What are they doing now? They're cloning this type of stuff. They're even talking about cloning dinosaurs. Soft disclosure, guys. I mean, this is
Yeah. Yeah. Very true.
just
Very true. And I'm sure we'll get into all that, tomorrow on your podcast when it comes to the cloning of dinosaurs and woolly mammoths
Oh, yeah.
and certain dire wolves. So
Mhm.
that's going to be a good podcast.
Yeah.
So you guys definitely be prepared for that tomorrow. Unfortunately, I
Yeah.
don't think I'm going to be coming on tomorrow.
All right,
I've
bro.
been pushing myself too hard. Okay. As far as the morning show goes, I'll try physically to get it done, but I just don't know if I could do it. I'm not even close to being 50% right now, but I'm trying. So, but anyways, the show tomorrow is going to be a good one. So,
Heck yeah. No, it's. I mean, this is all falls now. Is all this part of the Matrix? That is also a good possibility. We just know by law they have to disclose this stuff, and that's why William and I have said this many times. You really, 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 really need to pay attention to what they're saying. It is vital
exactly,
that you pay attention to what they're saying.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
and I forgot to tell you, I was able to upload that video for you.
Oh, okay. There's a video wanted to play this morning that really caught my eye, and I've seen it. I first saw it about a year ago or so on the social media, and it kind of makes you think. Why we believe that we are this free society, basically able to do and act as we please and do what we want, when in actuality it's actually being softly and gently guided by the powers that be. And this little short clip video actually says it in volumes. So I'm going to play it for everybody real quick, okay, while I get a drink of coffee. And it's called Not Free.
It is like all forms of government.
Somebody must rule.
And I don't like the word rule.
Well, if we don't like the word rule, let's call it leadership.
Leadership in government is political power, and political power is an official form of antagonizing the people.
That idea, young man, politics are.
Listen to me. Politics are rules imposed upon the people.
In this country, rules are not imposed. They are the wish of all free citizens.
Travel around a bit, then you'll see how free they are.
Yes, but you didn't let me finish.
They have every man in a straitjacket, and without a passport, he can't move a toe.
But if you'll allow me to...
In a free world, they violate the natural rights of every citizen.
But you don't let me put it...
They have become the weapons of political despots.
Yes, but may I...
And if you don't think as they think, you're deprived of your passport.
Will you allow me
To leave a country is like breaking out of jail.
Yes.
And to enter a country is like going through the eye of a needle. Am I Only with a passport.
Will you allow me to say something?
Only with a passport. Do animals need passports?
Have you finished?
It's incumbent that in this atomic age of speed, we are shut in and shut out by passports.
If you'll shut up and let somebody else talk.
And free speech, does that exist?
No, you've got it all.
Kind of says a lot, don't you think?
Oops. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that several times. It is a powerful video. Very Snow, you're being rude, dude. Come on. Very powerful show. Or clip. And it speaks volumes. And the thing is it's true.
Yeah.
It really, really is true.
A heated pot roast.
Are you still having a hot dog?
So I mean, this is that. I encourage everybody to find that video and share it like crazy. I've shared it, over a year ago.
Yeah. I'm gonna play that one from last night that we played too. The one that you marked killer.
I could not help with that name.
I think what she says. I think what she says is it strikes a chord too on several levels, and to me it's just we have to really think outside the box. And I know I've said it over and over again, and probably have thousands of people turn a deaf ear to me because I say it so much. But we really do. We really have to think outside the box and question everything. We really do. And in fact, I'm going to go right down the line and play the one after that too that Roseanne Barr was talking about.
The world you see, the air you breathe, the you that thinks it is real, none of it exists the way you believe it does. This isn't life. This is a containment system, a construct so perfect that you never even question it, a prison so advanced that it convinces you it isn't there. And the worst part, you built it? All religions have told you the truth, but only in pieces, hidden beneath layers of distortion. The Gnostics whispered of the demiurge, a false god who created this world as a counterfeit, a deception, a parasite feeding on your energy, trapping you in an endless loop of suffering, keeping you too weak, too blind to see the cage. Hinduism speaks of Maya, the illusion so powerful that even gods can be trapped within it. The Bhagavad Gita warns that most souls remain asleep, ensnared by desire, forever reincarnating, never escaping. Buddhism tells of samsara, the endless cycle of rebirth, suffering, and death, repeating like a corrupted file, looping until you awaken and escape. Christianity was gutted, rewritten.
Yeah.
I find that her philosophy on that and her theory and thinking of it is really, I mean, yeah, it's out of the box, but that's the way we've got to look at things anymore. Things have gotten so strange and so bizarre and so out of whack that sometimes the unthinkable is the answer. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the theories of our world is that we live on a prison planet. Well, why don't we just call it a zoo? Think about it. If you wanted to study a species or multiple species of subjects, what do? You would isolate them on an island. You would group them together in certain areas of the island, and you would see how they interact and study them. Occasionally, you would come and you would remove one of those subjects for study outside of the island. Mm-hmm. Think about what's going on. Everything that's going on today is basically that scenario. They test us with making us afraid. They test us with pandemics. They test us with the cough shots. They test us with taking away our gun rights. They test us with tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. you name it, hurricanes, tornadoes, flash floods. These things are happening
Hmm.
almost like something is testing us to see our reaction.
I got something for you guys to think about. Look how many alien species out there are very human looking or similar to human looking. And think about that comment that William just made.
Very true.
So, I mean, are we part of a zoo project? That very well could be. What would happen if we did this with our kind? Is there more of human like kind, or, humankind out there just in a different form that we call aliens now? Prime example, the recent one that came out that I've been hearing a lot about, Nordics. Look how
Hmm.
very human the Nordics are. Another one, the Anunnaki. I mean, the list goes on and on and on,
Yeah.
of these different types of very human looking aliens. Then you have
Well,
us.
and then think about, you got people like Roseanne Barr coming out and talking about certain species
Is this proof
of
that
non.
vampires exist? Watch this live TV interview.
So you got the blood test, and he tested you, and what were the results?
The results were inconclusive,
And what does that mean?
meaning that I have the same type of blood pathogen level, things like that. Everything just came out pretty much inconclusive. They weren't able to come up with any results. Per
Any
se.
results at all? Were they strange results?
Some things were, yes, higher glycemic levels, things like that.
And what about, you have no body fat?
Correct. If I were to place my hands on one of the electronic counters, it comes up as error every time.
Really?
Correct.
Tell us about these abilities. Okay, first let's do the strength ability. You're 125 pounds and you can bench press how much?
On a Smith climb machine, I've been able to do 270.
I've got 425 pounds over there.
Okay.
Oh, and I want to see you. What is it called? Bench pressing with the legs? I don't know what that's
Yeah, it's called a leg press on a 45-degree angle.
So let's go do that right now. Let's see if you can do that, because that's like pretty amazing. What was that breath? Was that getting ready for
just
something?
making bones. I feel like I'm getting old. One.
Pretty amazing. 125-pound guy leg pressing almost 500 pounds. Almost, well, at least 4 times his body weight. So, that
Mhm.
being said, then you've got this one with Roseanne, and there goes my mouse going all over the place again. And we got this one with Roseanne Barr talking about the Rothschilds and the vampires and all that too.
Oh, they eat babies. That is not bullshit. It's true.
So it's not just the dogs and the cats, not just the pets.
It's not just the dogs and the cats. They're full-on vampires. And everybody still thinks I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. They're full-on vampires. They love the taste of human flesh, and they drink human blood. They do, Tucker. Stop staring at me like that.
You're freaking me out, man. Because
They
you
do.
spent your life in the entertainment business, so I think you have some authority on this.
So many kids that I was in mental institutions with over the years, they are all from those cults. And they've covered it all up. They covered it all up. And, I just pray to God. I'm just going to pray to God that He opens everybody's eyes in this country.
And the one thing that's remarkable about that is it kind of coincides with certain species, okay, other than human, being on the planet. And maybe, just maybe, those certain species are the ones that basically are doing the studies.
crap. Yeah. Um, uh, sorry, I'm. Yes, so I agree with what Corey was saying. Yes, I agree with you. Vampires are really real. I mean, I've seen petitions from Haybolt, from the U.S. Coast Guard in Florida, letting vampires into the U.S. But I mean, this stuff it's out there.
Yeah,
Um,
but just
you know,
who do you think would, if we were a type of a study or a zoo going on here on Earth, who do you think is studying it? That's the thing. Is it the fallen angels? Is it a being like the demiurge? Is it, you know, is it just an alien race? I mean, it there's so many unconnected points with this whole theory, and it kind of goes
mm,
and coincides with the glitch in the matrix. If you think about it, looking for people's reactions, looking for humanity's reaction to certain glitches, and studying
mhm.
from a distance their reaction, and logging their reaction and recording their reactions. It makes sense that these glitches are being caused by a governing factor over humanity to see their reaction.
Yeah. Hey, Tracy. Um, yeah. I mean, as far as who's watching us, man, the possibilities are endless. Now, could they also be multiple different types of entities that's watching us? If the zoo theory is correct, then it would stand to reason many different types of humans go to zoo to see many different types of life forms. Why is that not the same in this instance?
Exactly. Which leads me to my next question, everybody. Mythical creatures. What about that? We have so much documented history, you know, for mythical creatures being seen and recorded, from dragons to minotaurs to, you name it, even fairies. Um, Mythical creatures. What do you guys think about that? Do they
Wow,
exist?
they literally just about 5 6 years ago found um, Hercules's grave. Look here, that's a pixie. That is a fae, a pixie.
Yep.
We've talked about fae multiple times on the show and how pixies are just like that right there.
Yep. Here's one that'll blow your mind.
Yeah, centaur. Look at that one at the bottom. It's got the horns. It's got a
It
freaking
makes
goat
you
horn on
wonder.
his head. Hmm.
Yeah, it literally makes you wonder.
Is this part of gene splicing from an ancient race of people? I mean, it makes you wonder what's going on here.
And then you've got reports of beings like this that aren't seen very often, but they are being seen more often.
Thundercats, Thundercats, Thundercats. Ho! Give me sight beyond sight. I love that cartoon.
I mean, what's your thought on something like this existing and living amongst
Well, I
us?
mean, look how many ancient cultures. No, you bring it up, but look how many ancient cultures talk about cat-like people. I mean, look at the alien race. I think they're called the Litherians, that are cat-like people. Look how
Yeah, the
many times in
lions.
movies, yeah, Lyrans. Look how many times in games, movies, commercials, and stuff like that that they have these types of cat people in them.
It's almost like we're being programmed not to respond, in a frightened or a hysterical manner, like they're
Hmm.
preparing us for something, you know?
Yeah.
It really is. Because if you show a picture of something that may be offensive to somebody and cause fear and panic enough times, eventually you're going to desensitize that subject to responding and reacting in that manner. And the more you desensitize the study species, the better it's going to be when you introduce the other beings or the other animals or the other existence entities into the population. It's kind of like the prison theory of being, starting out an isolated prisoner in prison for the first 10 days and then stuck in the population, the general population. For 10 days or whatever, you get to see how the other inmates that are in general population act, and see who's the ones to watch and see who's the ones to be warned about. It's kind of that same theory like with us, because if we're not a zoo and animals being studied by another race, um, then why? Man, sorry, I'm
Got something jacking with you?
yeah. Sorry, I gotta go silent for a minute. I'm not doing too good.
No, you're good,
Give
brother.
me a couple minutes, guys.
Yep. So, I mean, once again, it's like we said a little bit ago. This is all soft disclosure stuff. Um, and is this what we're seeing on this stuff? They're softly telling us, "Hey, these things exist and they do walk around here." I'm a big believer in that. I believe that is very possible. It's like we've said countless times. Behind every myth and legend is a kernel of truth. So when you're looking at those fossils, are you looking at kernels of truth? Are these things that existed at one time that no longer do? I'm not really that. I don't really subscribe to that. I think they still exist. That's just proof that they exist. Now, could most of them been hunted to extinction or to a brink of extinction? That is very possible. I shared a video with William last night on the truth about dragons and how they cover the old paintings of dragons with modern versions of it to hide the truth about these things. All this is there. You know, people of power like to hide the truth from us, and just more and more. And this is one thing that's good about the internet. Um, with the internet, it's easier to get the truth out there for people to see, and I think that's what we're kind of witnessing.
Yeah.
Um, I believe that we're witnessing a time where the truth is getting out there, but you have to question it. You have to look into it, and you have to want to believe or not believe.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And it's like we always say, don't take our word for it. The reason I bring these subjects up, and I bring some pretty bizarre subjects up, I really do. But I was always taught that you need to be observant. You need to question it, and do your own research and do your own investigating. And this is just something that I think that if we talk about it enough and we go through each other's thoughts and theories on it, eventually we'll come to a conclusion that this is what the ultimate results are going to be from investigating
Hmm.
it and researching it. And 38 plus minds in the chat plus us, there's a lot of ways we can look at this. And that's why I enjoy doing this. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, I'm not doing too good right now. Um, I may have to cut this short, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I may
Real
have to
quick,
cut this
Michelle.
short. I'm not doing good.
Well, I get it. Michelle, I agree. That is a very good possibility because I believe that inner Earth is honeycomb, not in the shape as a honeycomb, but has tunnels and caves and systems like that. So that is a extremely good possibility. I can see that being very, very possible. So if you got to go, bro, we can start a nine stopa till you
Yeah,
start closing it down.
I'm not doing too good. I gotta lay down. The whole room is spinning right now. Um,
All right,
I
man. Well, you go
apologize.
ahead
I
and go. All,
apologize. I apologize. I
all good.
didn't want this to happen, and I'm not doing good. So,
You go ahead and go. I'll wrap it up.
all right. I just, we'll try again tomorrow morning, depending on how I feel.
Mhm.
And if not, then I'll try to help out on your show too. Thank you to the
Sounds good, brother.
moderators for being here. And thank you, everybody, Scott and Girl with a Gong and everybody. Thank you very much. Uh, Trisha, thank you. That's awesome. Thank you.
You're awesome.
If you
You
could,
are
can
the
you
lucky
start
winner.
that?
I thought I just did. Did I unstart by mistake? Oh,
Okay.
maybe I did. Sorry. The lucky winners, let me get in here, from gifts from Trisha is Don Donaldson, Matt, Catheda Cat Gray, Spiritual Ascension, and Cryptic Christie, Mississippi. Congratulations on being gifted 5 memberships from Trisha. Trisha, sorry. I wanted to get that out there before we got too far. So, um, with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and start wrapping it up. Once again, I will not be having a show tonight. I am going to my daughter's Miss Dallas County pageant, so I will not be having a show tonight. I will be available. I will be having a show Sunday night. So keep that in mind. I just released a video to keep up the algorithm for Saturday, being as I won't be live. So go to my YouTube channel at the Bizarre and the Unknown and give that a check. And like we always say on this show, you don't take what we say for granted. Take it with a grain of salt and do your own research. Everything that we've talked about today, please go and do your own research. Build upon our hypothesis or come up with your own. I mean, the choice is yours. You are gifted with the gift of free will. So, hey, DeSizzle, um, do it. And if you can build upon our hypothesis, by all means, build upon our hypothesis. We either going to agree or we're not. That don't mean but we got to be mean to each other or bad. We just either we agree or we don't. Um, so that is something to do. Tomorrow night I will be doing a show. Robbie Rip Brains may be a host. If he does, I will update the YouTube deal. William, depending on how he's feeling, may be a co-host as well. So keep that in mind and just keep an eye on that. With that being said, everybody, peace, love, and blessings. And I hope you guys have a blessed day. Oops, hit the wrong button.